Good morning. So, I've been experiencing for much of my life that everything is about creating right now. So, everything in our life is basically an opportunity, and changes and variations allow us to recognize new opportunities. So, basically, anytime that we're used to doing the same way and all of a sudden something forces us to do something different, that is life giving us a reminder to do things different. And as long as we're not attached to the old ways of doing things, it's not too much of a problem. So when I see a challenge, I kind of rate myself of like how many minutes or how many hours does it take for me to reprioritize and recalibrate. So where having car trouble a long time ago used to really bother me and stress me out and maybe cause me to feel like my day wasn't good for a day or two or longer. Now, difficulty is how many seconds or how many minutes does it take me to recalibrate and say, okay, this is now. It's fine. I can still be in meditation through this process. I can still take breaks from this process. I don't have to buy into this reality. This is a minor aspect of reality. This is a challenge to overcome. So if life is seen as a sequence of tests and challenges and lessons to learn, then it gets a lot more fun because there's no reason to have negative feelings more than temporarily when quote-unquote bad things happen. Yeah, it kind of sucks, and it prevents us from doing things we'd rather do, but it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the lesson. Pretty much every time I've had difficulty, it's forced me to learn new skills. So I am always hunting for the new skills. And when things get compounded and layered, multiple challenges on top of each other, there's two things that are often happening. There could be many things, but there's two things I've identified that are often happening. And one is often a wake-up call and saying, okay, here's an area where multiple things are getting through, or here's a dynamic in my life that is allowing multiple things to slip through. And the other one, too, they can both be true in different ways, is that I am learning how to take on more. I'm saying, okay, I am pretty good at taking on difficulty one at a time. Now what happens when I take on difficulty in different areas at the same time? Can I remain in meditative state? Can I make use of my skills and add to my skills because of this experience? One part of this that I'm recognizing is super important is downtime. So taking scheduled downtime. When I realize that I'm taking on a lot, it's also nice to say, okay, I'm taking a little extra downtime because I know when I'm doing so much more than I'm usually doing. It's a good idea, at least at the onset of this initial extra work in my life. It's nice to have a little balancing downtime. It's not something I intuitively feel. So this is more of a logic thing. So intuitively, I just say, oh, I've got more challenges to deal with. I need to spend more time working on those challenges, which is true. But at the same time, the quality of the work that I'm going to be spending on these challenges is likely going to be better if I take a reset time. If it's all of a sudden getting more difficult and it's kind of sustained in that difficulty until the challenge is overcome, taking downtime is just allows everything to flow much smoother. So I have been enjoying all the new connections in my life and all the new realities in my life, and I love talking with people every day that I don't know who have really interesting insights, really interesting reality. So I have been really enjoying pretty much every day calling someone up that I've met online and just having a chat with them. I love to do that. If you like doing that kind of thing, please let me know. I'm always happy to talk. So I've been observing more and more how we really have signs and connections all around us. And I know it sounds kind of strange, and I know I've read about it and I've been skeptical, but reality is such that we're all sharing very similar experiences. So even without getting into too much of the deeper stuff about the deeper being and connection, we are all in these giant fishbowl terrariums of towns and cities, and we're all living pretty much a similar experience in a variety of different ways, different interpretations, different levels of sensation, but we're all having emotions, having thoughts, having to find a way to survive. And so at a certain level, we're just going to be very empathetic with each other no matter what happens. So cultivating that empathy, cultivating the cues for empathy. So the Matrix has taught us to reject genuine empathy and say that that's fake, and label these people that say they're genuine as fake because they're terrifying. Because the Matrix is all about pain and torture, and we want people that can sustain under pain and torture and not collapse under pain and torture and need to get away. So this whole genuine empathy thing is really it's a delicate thing to have. Genuine empathy allows us to feel what other people are feeling, so we have much greater context for the human experience, because we sense what other people are feeling all around us, and our minds, depending on how analytical our minds are, we can extract a lot of data from how people feel, instead of just I mean, everybody's a little bit empathetic, but if we just realize that someone is mad and then say, oh, that person is mad, now I'm going to defend myself and maybe be mad back at them, that's not really empathy. That is, that's an emotional reaction. So empathy is when we comprehend the experience someone else is having in a deep way, perhaps even deeper than the person who's having it, and we feel it. I mean, we feel it in our bodies. And maybe if we're intellectual, we've processed it in our minds, and we comprehend what those factors are, and we comprehend the areas that we don't have quite enough data on, so where we don't quite know, but we have some ideas, and we have a whole range of where we have more accuracy and where we have less accuracy. Psychologists will often try to just say there's only one way, it's only this way, and if it's not that way, there's something wrong. So this is, again, a big split. Empathy divides psychology from higher reason. Psychology will only go as far as mind games, where higher reason will include empathy as, more than psychology. Empathy tells us a lot more than psychology, because empathy has to do with real experience, and psychology is all about mind games. Mind games can be very helpful, because through mind games we can map out much of the human experience and how the human mind works in an unconscious state. But psychology has a very limited application to a highly conscious state. It just breaks down. It no longer is valuable, because psychology is of the second chakra. It's about communication. It's psychology is often less than emotion. So people who consider themselves to be cut and dry psychologists are the people who are most ruled by their emotions, because they pretend their emotions don't exist. They pretend that they've conquered their emotions with their mind, and there's no such thing. We can claim personal power over our emotions by building a deeper relationship with our emotions, to the point where we allow them and accept them and also cut them off. Basically, we give them their time, and then we say, okay, time to move on. We stop listening to them after they've said their important part. We just say, okay, well, my feelings are going to continue no matter what. I want my feelings to be telling me the things that are going to help me in my life, not the things that are going to slow me down. So if my feelings are telling me, oh, you were offended back there, then I'm going to say, oh, why was I offended? Oh, what can I change about the scenario so that I won't be offended next time? Why am I taking offense? Like, if someone else was offensive, yeah, that's on them, but why am I taking offense? Once I solve that, it should pretty much dissolve, and I can just let go of, because the feelings will continue to try to repeat themselves. They kind of go on autopilot. So simply by saying, yeah, I learned my lesson from you, I'm fine now, and then they get very quiet at that point. They don't have a whole lot of volume as long as we're not focusing our attention on them. So that's and then one of the traps I'm sure is talked about in a lot of the ancient texts is not listening to the emotions, not sustaining curiosity about emotions past what they have to tell us. Because I think there's a whole pseudo spiritual movements that all say just focus on your emotions, just be emotionally happy, and you'll be fine. Which I think short term works very well, and then long term just breeds narcissists. If we're only focusing on how we feel, then we're constantly just trying to feel better, and we're not using higher reason to figure out how to do that sustainably. Emotions are just kind of blindly saying, oh, just be happy here, just be happy there. Oh, that person isn't happy. Oh, tell them that they're wrong, and then run away from them. Emotions will say crazy things. So it's really good to find the people that are able to comprehend the different levels of reality. I find myself contemplating the deep natures of reality, so I kind of want to be talking about this stuff, and there's a limited audience for this, so I have to go to the internet to find people that are even able to hear this stuff, because no one, even in the Bay Area, even in San Francisco, even going to parties in San Francisco or meeting friends and friends of friends in San Francisco, people aren't ready for this stuff. People aren't, people are still in the fear zone. People are still in Babylon. They're still very much in, no, the world is controlled by people who have weapons and are mean, and that's the way it is, and there's no other reality, and we're all supposed to fit into that. Even people that want change are still pretty stuck on that. Oh no, we need someone to tell us what to do. If we didn't have government, we'd just have people stealing and looting all the time. So we have a very little solid ground to work with. We are the front lines, basically. We who really feel this strongly and are compelled and have been compelled for a long time, more so now because it's all happening like right now over the last couple months. But we are really compelled to make this real because we're like, we've been, I don't use the word waiting, but this has been a long time coming, and there's no reason to hold off any longer. We can just be speaking our minds, because the more people that start to hear this stuff and start to hear it all around them, and the more people see people who they respect or who they identify with in a certain way, because we're all different, and they see someone they identify with saying these things, and they're like, oh, well, maybe if I can comprehend and identify with the other things they say, maybe these other parts are have something to them too. So simply by being ourselves, and I was talking about this yesterday. Some environments are so programmed by the Matrix that they will reject any form of reality. They will reject genuine presence as much as possible because it's terrifying. Especially the people who really want to be genuine and haven't figured out how to be genuine. They haven't figured out how to be genuine because they haven't learned how to submit to their higher self yet. And so they're just like kind of on fire, needing to have that happen and not being willing to have it happen. So we got to stay away from these people. We got to, not let them get to us, because when someone wants something and is not willing to receive it, that's just a bad scenario. And that is this in-between stage where this light worker industry has sprung up. So identifying key words that we can use to ease that process. So when people are afraid of being genuine because it means abandoning everything we know and just focusing on who we are and letting go of what other people think of us, whether that be, relationships and jobs and, whatever, we just let go of it because it's no longer as important. Being genuine becomes more important than other stuff. It becomes a balancing act of how do we survive and be genuine. So these people that are in between and still on fire because they can't have and they want and they see other people that have and they're not ready, we can't just be ourselves around them because it's going to cause them to be very, very angry. So setting up contracts, saying, okay, I am able to provide this state of consciousness, and it's able to have this tangible effect of no longer feeling stress from any kind of relationship with another human. The stress component can be gone because there's a simple way that we can deal with that. And I offer a program. I offer a 6-month program of how we can dissolve our stress over interactions with others. We come up with a tangible piece that we can solve like that stress involved with interacting with others. And then people are like, oh, okay, so this person is selling me a solution and they seem to have it and I really want it. Okay, so I'll make an agreement. And then we need to be really clear that this agreement says that this process is going to be difficult and painful. There's no running away from the fact that this process is difficult and painful. It might be difficult and painful for 1 second, but we have to admit that we have to go there. We have to have that moment, and we can support that moment as much as we can in saying, yes, this has to happen. We've all had to go through this. We can just, comfort people as much as we can and provide support for the experience and say, yeah, it's not that bad. It doesn't last that long. Actually, the less attached we are, the more we want it, the less time it lasts. It can just be a brief instant. If you've ever, had to get blood drawn for any reason, that's probably a lot more painful than going through this process in a highly supported way. But anyways, we want to bring the reality of Zion, the reality of heaven on earth, this reality that we can all be happy and get what we want, and that when we are genuine in our communication and genuine in our presence and let go of trying to have a one-up on someone and try to have evidence against other people, which is kind of what we've been taught to do, is to base our conversations around having control and having power over others. As long as we can give this demonstration of just being joyful and wanting to support other people as much as possible, and having structure and having order. We're not just mindless hippies saying love everybody. We have vision. We say, okay, if we all come together this way, if we do this thing in this way, if we have a free flow of information, we're going to be so much better because we're going to reach higher levels of productivity. We're all going to feel better. We're not going to have like emotional balancing things. We're not going to have what do they call like morale boosting things, because if we're all really genuine and expressing expressing ourselves, our morale is being boosted every time we have the experience of connecting with our team or with our group or with a random stranger. We're going to feel our morale for life increase because we're genuine and someone reflected that genuine back to us. This is like kind of an end all. When we're all being genuine, we are all comforted by the fact that we're all being genuine. So this is the heaven on earth that we're working towards. This is why people are waking up all of a sudden over the last few months, especially. So this is why, there's people randomly talking online about how we do this more. And there's, as I've been saying the last couple of days, this light worker industry. It takes a high demand to support an industry like this. There's only so much you can get out of a fad, of people buying into a fad. But we have actual people saying, I want to spend a significant amount of money because I want this really. I can sense that this is really important, so I want this. So we want to keep being happy. We want to keep finding what it means for us to be happy. And that is so important. And changes are often necessary. Sometimes they're internal changes. We can say, I'm going to make a new decision, a new deal with myself internally. Sometimes they're external. Sometimes it's an environment that is attached to a way of being that is not allowing for the way we are. And so anytime we're in this scenario, we can create our own bubble to survive within that, and then we can show how great our bubble is and see if we can get other people to join us. But sometimes we just have to walk away and find a more supportive environment because it's not worth the effort it takes to sustain a bubble if there's no one else kind of joining in. And we really don't want to just be seen as friction. We don't want to be seen as, oh, that's that weird person who's doing things different. Let's kind of mildly resent that person. If we give it a number of months and people are still in that stage, we should probably move on to a new area and see if we can have a positive effect on a new area, because not everybody is ready to wake up. Some people, it's been written about, will take 1,000 years to cycle through incarnations, starting, a few months back or whatever, or a couple years back, whichever indicator you want to go by, until their soul is ready to accept this new now. It's been said it's a 1,000-year process. The end of the Kali Yuga, or whatever system you want to call it, is this gray area where we balance everything out before we start all our new contracts. And this gray area is, creating the new now. We've decided, we've reached out. The whole planet has been retuned to sustain a 5D field with ease. So now we can make the conscious choice to go into 5D, especially if we're in nature and we don't have other negativity kind of being beamed at us. 5D is available to everybody. We can go into bliss state and meditation very rapidly now, where it used to take a little bit more effort. So we got a lot of people that are all of a sudden experiencing higher states of consciousness without trying, because they're genuinely honest, curious people, and that's all it really takes. You don't have to be. It's really good to have a regular daily practice and a good, strong spiritual practice, tools that we're crafting and honing ourselves with. But as long as we're being honest and genuine and present in the moment, that's really what it's all about. So people are having spiritual awakenings that don't identify with spirituality, and these people are like, wait, what's going on? I'm a psychologist, or I'm a teacher. I don't comprehend spiritual. I don't know what this means. But all of a sudden, I'm getting all this strange information. I'm getting these intuitions. I'm getting compulsions. I'm meeting other people that are slightly similar. So this is the time when we're all waking up. I just encourage everybody to really speak their voice and to continue self-study. There's just so much to learn by looking in. Rumi loves saying that. We've got a mine of gems inside us. We think that the answers are all outside of us, but really all we got to do is spend enough time mining for these gems inside, and all of a sudden we'll have all of our answers. All right, we'll wrap this up with a quick Gayatri. Satyam. Om Tatsavitur-Arenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyayana Prachodayat. Om Apajayati Rasam Ratam Brahma Bhuvarasvaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And then 3-part breath, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold and relax, 5 seconds slow, controlled exhale, and keep leaving lots of questions. I love to answer questions. I love to dive deeper into this stuff and see what it's like from other people's experiences. Please keep going. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.